4,800.
For Negreanu, and 8-3 suited, apparently.
I don't mind Hellmuth picking this type of hand to 3-bet with. Obviously, the suited is helpful if you get called, but definitely on the bottom end of your range. So if you want to get aggressive and try to pick up the pot pre,
now's your chance.
Yeah.
But when the lights come on in the club, that 8-3 suited isn't what you want to be going home with.
13,000.
Negreanu with 2 deuces, just making it 13 grand.
Putting Hellmuth to the test.
I mean, he's not really.
35,000.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Hellmuth came to play.
A 5-bet.
Listen, we don't see many 5-bets pre.
First time in his career.
I feel like this is just a straight up level war right now, because
10 seconds.
deuce is not normally the type of hand that you are going to 4-bet. And of course, 8-3 suited. Wow.
Deuces.
And he's
Come on in,
coming with the 2 deuces, just calls the extra 22,000. And by the way, his range is going to look very narrow to Phil right now.
Very strong. Looks so trappy. Looks like.
Hellmuth with the snap, check, look away.
I mean, this just looks so strong from Negreanu. I feel like if he wants to go for the bet right here, it should get the job done, you would think.
21,000.
Oh my, what are we witnessing here?
Bananas.
Negreanu made it 1,500 on the button. Hellmuth made it 48. Negreanu made it 13. Hellmuth made it 35. Negreanu chose to call 22,000 with the deuces. On the Jack-10-6 board, Hellmuth check calls 21,000. Negreanu clearly representing better than the 2 deuces here. Now the board pairs.
42,000.
Hellmuth picks up the
my
club draw
goodness.
and leads for 42.
Okay, so you can't say that he didn't have a plan when he check called the flop, turning equity and leading, but Daniel probably has no idea he could possibly have the best hand at the moment.
You know, there are so few occasions on which Phil
10
will be
seconds.
piling this much into a pot without having the goods. And yet here we are with 154 in the middle, and these deuces are good.
But Daniel's got to be thinking, I mean, Hellmuth shouldn't have really any 6Xs in his range, so really he's only representing premium holdings, aces, kings, big pairs.
Would he play those hands this way? Would he
Right,
check the Jack-10-6
right.
board with all that money in the middle already?
I don't think he would, and that's what Negreanu is taking some time to consider, is he doesn't feel like Hellmuth would play those premium value hands that way.
And how much Jack-X, 10X is in there
I mean,
that would play this way?
definitely not a lot, especially from somebody like Hellmuth.
Boy, there's some real sniff here for Daniel the whole way through. But he decides to lay it down, and just like that, Phil Hellmuth becomes your chip leader.
Hellmuth gets it done with the 8-3 of clubs. He sweeps Daniel Negreanu to win High Stakes Duel 2. But who will he face next? You will find out in just 1 minute. But first, welcome. He is Brent Hanks. I am Jeff Platt. This is No Gamble, No Future. Thank you all so much for being here. Coming up today, we get to our cards. Man, are we struggling. But Betcoin is on fire. Plus some cool fantasy poker spots for us, maybe for you guys. That's all ahead. Like and subscribe, right? Do that spiel real quick.
Click the thumbs up right now. Make sure you like the show. We want to keep doing this every week. Subscribe so you get notifications when we go live.
We have seen a lot of guesses in the chat, a lot of guesses on Twitter as to who Phil Hellmuth's next opponent will be. And Brent, I think it's about that time. Shall we do this? Because, Brent, Phil Hellmuth is the reigning, defending, undisputed champion of High Stakes Duel, and he will return to defend his title, to defend his belt. We are making it official. High Stakes Duel 3, Wednesday, July 28th. Phil Hellmuth against Brent. Take it away.
By the way, one person got it right on Twitter. One person.
Wow.
That's it. Phil Ivey.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
it's not Phil Ivey.
Oh.
It's not Phil Ivey. Tom Dwan. No, it's not Tom Dwan. Jason Kuhn. No, it's not Kuhn. Guess what, folks? It's not a professional poker player. We are dipping our toes into the sports television world. We are bringing in one of the most polarizing personalities out there right now. This guy dumps ice water on Skip Bayless's takes, all right? He touts Patrick Mahomes while he doubts my guy, Josh Allen.
Nothing polarizing there.
He thinks that Syracuse is the greatest basketball team in the state of New York. Clearly, that is St. Bonaventure. Jeff, I present to you our guest on this show once again, and the challenger of High Stakes Duel 3, Nick Wright.
There he is.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
So I do feel like, Brent, and good to see you, Jeff, that you really set me up to be even extra hated with that intro. Even I, knowing it was going to be me, when you said Phil Ivey, I was like, oh, that'd be awesome. Like, the audience, if there was any chance the audience was going to be super excited about it being me against Phil, and the audience, I'm sure we'll get into it, doesn't know Phil and I have a bit of a history, played a bit together. I've had some success. He's had some success. There's a few mind games played. It's fine. But people are like, oh, it's going to be Ivy. And now they're like, oh, the jerk with the funny nose with the LeBron takes. Like, that's who we're going to see.
Oh.
But I think I'm going to be able to sell him over the next few minutes here about why this could be really, really good. I'm excited for it.
Okay, we think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Nick, internally, and I know you and I discussed this a little bit. The folks here at Poker Go, we went back and forth. Like, okay, there's pros and cons to this. Do we?
What were the
do
cons?
this?
Tell
And,
me. Tell me internally. What were they saying?
I mean,
I'm just curious. What were they saying?
You think about, we always try and use the analogy that High Stakes Duel is a bit like the professional fight, right? The boxing match. We're two professional fighters. We're bringing in an amateur to face Hellmuth, who's on this sizzle right now. You know, we're bringing in this guy, but for the sake of expanding the audience, for the sake of really making sure that there are extra eyeballs on this, perhaps that have really never tuned in to High Stakes Duel especially, this just makes sense, Nick.
Yeah, well, listen, to stick with the boxing analogy, Brent, you're my friend. I think your poker career was underrated. I did some Googling today. Man's got some bracelets. There was a time in 2012, 13, 14, my man Brent was peeling a lot of victories. Then I don't know what happened. Maybe the game passed him by. I'm not sure. It seemed that the wins went away. Maybe a few seconds after that, but that's not the point. Brent, great broadcaster, great poker player. To use the boxing analogy, maybe not the best Don King type promoter, because the reason you guys have invited me is not because you're trying to bring in new eyeballs. The reason you've invited me is because, at least this is my opinion, Phil Hellmuth has demonstrated that the current pros have a mind block when it comes to beating him. Here's the problem that I believe. I believe it is almost impossible to beat Phil Hellmuth if you are totally convinced you are better than Phil Hellmuth. And all the current pros, definitely, Antonio, even though he's not even playing actively anymore, was certain he was better. Daniel, to this day, I believe, it's like would pass a polygraph that he is multiple standard deviations better. And I think it turns into a Princess Bride situation of, I know what you know, what I know, what you know, what I know. And it's a leveling thing, and Hellmuth gets the better of him. So what you need is someone who is under no delusions that he's better than Phil. I know Phil's better than me, and that's why I'm going to beat him. I know that sounds stupid, but it's correct. Because Daniel probably is, by any fair metric, better than Phil. And Phil annihilated him in 3 consecutive matches. So you need someone far worse, and you have found someone far worse in me.
What were your thoughts, Nick, when you were initially presented with this idea? Because it is certainly way outside the box. Brent said it was outside the box from Poker Go's perspective. What was it from your perspective?
Well, my initial thoughts. Listen, Brent, Jeff, you and I don't know each other as well as Brent and I know each other, but I don't believe in lying. I think that you got to be in my business, our business. You got to be fully transparent, let the audience see it. So I'm gonna tell you, my full thoughts were: I'm absolutely excited to do it. Can it be a one-off? It's like, let me just play him once, peel the
Yeah.
50, and run and leave. And Brent was like, no, you can't. It's a high-stakes duel. You want to do this? You got to. You know, the only way you can walk away with any money is if you win 3 in a row. And I know myself. If and when I win 3 in a row, then I'll just keep running it back. Like this, I'm probably eventually going to 0, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins. And I've also told myself, listen, if I lose, you can't all of a sudden be like, honey, going to Vegas, popped off 50 and then like going back in a month to re-challenge. But the thing is this, if I lose, I probably re-challenge because who doesn't re-challenge? So my initial thoughts were, can it be a one-off? Well, I'm not, and by the way, that's not binding. That's not binding. Let's just see how the match goes. And I'm not going to plan on losing. But my initial thought was, can it be a one-off? And then after that, I was like, okay, how can I win? Because this isn't fantasy camp. I'm not paying $50,000 of my hard-earned money to just hand it to Phil Hellmuth so he can invest in a new, Dogecoin. No, I'm doing it because I want to win. Dogecoin, Latinum, or whatever the hell he's shilling at this point. No, it's because I want to win. So I've been studying. So I've just been watching that. See, so here's the thing on the studying. I don't think like reading the books that like Daniel probably like already read and helped write or knows all that stuff. I don't think that's the key. I think my key is going to be, there is almost not infinite, obviously, but there are hundreds of hours of video that I can consume of watching Phil Hellmuth play high stakes heads up poker. Do you know how much he can watch of me? None. There's nothing he can do. He can just try to remember the few times we've played together. That's it. So I have from a study advantage, I have an edge. Plus, I think he's out in like France right now, trying to get a film made about himself. So I mean, I got a lot of things going for me.
A couple things I want to tack on with this right now.
Yeah.
Nick, you and Phil do have playing history. We can't really get too far into it because it is going to debut as a part of Season 13, our brand new season of Poker After Dark, in just a couple of months. So you guys do have history.
But what we can say, I have to interrupt real quick, Brent. What we can say is you're going to have hours of he and I literally sitting next to each other. We're not just playing together. We are side by. We're like seats 5 and 6 one time. We're seats 1 and 2 next time. Rubbing elbows, talking to each other. Yeah. So go ahead as you were.
Let me come at you from Phil Hellmuth's perspective, and I know this because myself and a couple others, we talked with him shortly after he learned that his opponent was going to be yourself, Nick Wright. Folks tuning in right now, by the way, all of you on YouTube, Facebook, much appreciated. Thank you so much for joining us here on this show. What I can tell you from Phil Hellmuth is that initially he was taken back.
He's insulted.
He wasn't insulted. Yeah. It was more, his first reaction was this: if I lose to an amateur, how does that make me, how does that look for me, right? And that already, the fact that sort of has seeped into his mind, I think that's going to work against him. And I don't want you folks at home tuning in thinking, oh, Hellmuth, he wanted to play an amateur. No, that's bullshit. Hellmuth was prepared for Tom Dwan. He was ready for Phil Ivey. But, some of our audience, you watched a show a couple weeks ago, and Tom Dwan joined us. And we reassured Tom Dwan he would be next up, and not so fast, a little detour. We're bringing in Nick Wright. Tom Dwan is on deck. We are bringing in Dwan. No matter who wins, whether it's Nick or whether it's Hellmuth, you're going to get Dwan. And Eventually, you're going to get Dwan. Yeah.
So, all right. So, a couple things. Let me go in reverse order. The Dwan thing's super fascinating, and I'm really interested to see if and when Phil loses. Antonio and Negreanu were auto re-challenged until it expired. I think they would have re-challenged all the way up the ladder, but the rules of high stakes duel are such you can only re-challenge twice. I wonder what Phil's stance will be, how quickly Dwan can get into this if I do win the first round or the second round. The other thing though is what you touched on in the beginning. I think is very important because you were talking about the pressure of when you are a massive favorite, when you're the pro taking on an amateur, that it's all risk, very little reward aside from the money, of course. because he's expected to win. He gets no credit for beating me, but will get massive criticism for losing to me. Brent and Jeff, I actually think it's worse than that for him. Here's why. If he loses to me, there will be folks who then use that as an argument of, it's a one-off, it's random, and use it to invalidate some of what he did against Daniel and Antonio. And that really matters to him. It really matters to him that, especially I think with Daniel, who had been throwing shade at him for months and months and months, that he got that clean sweep and seemingly got some respect. So I would just say to Phil, it's not only that if he loses to me, folks will be like, you lost to the idiot who talks about sports in the mornings, but it will undercut some of the success that he has built up over the last 18 months on High Stakes Duel, which is to say, like, I mean, I'm not saying he should forfeit. I mean, it's binding. We're locked in now. It would just be giving me the victory. But he just has to think about what this could do to his, reputation as arguably the greatest poker player ever. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, he certainly has put these high-stakes duel wins at the top of his resume.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Nick, on that resume? Your thoughts on Phil Hellmuth? Because we've seen that you've made the Russell Westbrook comparison here with Hellmuth. Describe that for us.
So at first I did Mariano Rivera, which was like the greatest closer ever, but that doesn't make you the greatest pitcher ever. And then I did Russell Westbrook, which was like, he is one of the most unique players in his sports history, beloved by a disproportionate amount of some fans, and criticized by a disproportionate number of his fans or colleagues. So I think, and singular, like nobody is like Russ, nobody's like Phil. Here's what I will say in Phil's defense, and I've talked with him about this. It would be incredibly frustrating for me. Like, in sports broadcasting, there's not really a metric like this. But if there was an agreed upon, so let's use play-by-play, which I don't do, right? And it was just kind of agreed upon for decades and decades. The way we're going to determine who the greatest broadcaster ever is whomever has done the most Super Bowls, Olympics, and Masters. Like, at the end of the career, whoever has broadcast the most of those is going to be considered the greatest broadcaster ever. And if I'm in my mid-50s and I'm lapping the field in that, and that's all I focused on, and then midway through my career, people were like, you know what? Actually, that doesn't matter at all. That those are stupid events. Nobody should care about them. And in fact, we're just going to do who's the best broadcaster by who has made the most money broadcasting. I'd be super pissed. I'd be like, you guys told me these were the rules. You guys told me this should be my goal. I made it my goal. I was better than everyone ever at it. I achieved it. And now you're saying it's invalidated. So I understand why Phil is frustrated by the fact that he feels like the rules were changed on him midstream. I also understand why folks say, hey, whatever the rules were, or are, whether there are rules or there aren't, you're just simply not the best. Now, whether or not he's the best at this format, he does appear to be. Like right now at this format, he does appear to be. And I know folks will say Doug Polk. Listen, I don't know Doug at all, but what Doug specializes in, from what I understand, is exceptionally different from this format. Mm-hmm. Like what Doug has mastered his specific thing, which to me is quite different from what is going on High Stakes Duel.
It's pretty interesting. Let me ask you this. You're a betting man of sorts, Nick. What are your odds? Your personal odds? You're an underdog in your mind? Maybe you are a favorite. All right. Well, what are the odds? I mean, what would you put yourself at?
Well, so that's an interesting thing. So, I hate to answer a question with a question, but you are two brilliant poker minds. So let me ask you guys this: if you had a player in the 99th percentile taking on the definition of average, like the 50th percentile. So someone not a monkey playing cards, but somebody that actually knows the rules, an average, probably slightly losing career player. In this format, what do you think the discrepancy is there? Is it minus 300?
I would guess
that feels Go ahead. Tell
I
me.
would guess in the minus 200 range because all due respect to Hellmuth, but the brilliant poker minds who thank you for the compliment, that's not us, but they did have Negreanu at minus 150 when they thought that he had a significant edge over Hellmuth, when
that's
they
what I
thought
was
that he was
thinking.
much better. So yeah, I would say minus 200-ish for the scenario you presented.
Right. So that's, or call it minus 250.
Sure.
Right. So my point is, like, in this format, unlike, the 25,000 hands against Doug Polk,
Yeah.
he's minus 500,000. He's, you can't set the line high enough. This, if I was just a guy you pulled out of Aria, right? It was like, hey, I play once a week and I'm an average player. I think that guy's only like plus 260. So what do I think I am? I don't know. Plus 185? Plus 190? Like, slightly worse than the Hawks tonight, and the Hawks could win. Like, and so I also think that there are a couple things that I can do that can shift the odds quickly within the match. And I also think that the longer it goes on, now while it has been Phil's specialty, get it to where everyone's short stacked.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something else. I don't know if I should say this because but it doesn't matter. I'll just say it. It's going to be such a unique situation for Phil because against Antonio and Daniel, he had a very clear strategy, right? Play small ball, get it to where the blinds are a significant portion of your stack. When you're playing an amateur who you are clearly superior than, isn't that the opposite of what you want?
Yeah.
The greater the blinds get, the less his edge is. So there's a lot of things to it that I think make it a unique situation. The other thing that I'm going to be totally honest with the audience is I have to see whether or not, because I've never played in this type of format, whether like what my physical tells could be and whether or not I can use that to my potential advantage or whether or not that could ruin me. Like I know I plan to win, I hope to win, but there's a chance because I've never been in this type of format that it's like, oh, this idiot, he has no idea his eye twitches every time he has it and he won't know it until he watches it. So we'll see. I don't think that's the case. I've played enough poker in my life that I think I would know, but I've obviously never played this type of thing on television, one-on-one with, arguably the most accomplished player ever.
Let me jump in real quick there, Nick. You're sort of, talking about yourself maybe giving off tells against Hellmuth that he could swallow up quickly. You've watched every match of High Stakes Duel.
Yeah.
You're very in tune with the poker world. Have you picked up anything that you've noticed on Hellmuth that you, I don't know, a little bag of tricks, if you will?
Yeah, I think there is one thing that across all 6 matches was incredibly consistent and I think Daniel knew it. I think Antonio knew it. I think it is super exploitable. And I think the reason they didn't is because, again, and I hate to keep harping the same point, they were trying to minimize variance because they felt they were the better players. I am going to try to add variance because I know Phil has the edge here. And I think that I think there is one thing that if you've watched all 6 matches that Phil does in certain spots, that's pretty obvious. And it's 4 out of 5 times. And I get why if you think you're a huge favorite, you're afraid of the 1 out of 5. But if you don't think you're a huge favorite and you can lean into the numbers, I think it's exploitable. I do think there's one specific thing, a couple smaller things, but I do think it's exploitable. There's something that's exploitable there. I do.
Oh, that's fascinating. And Nick, as we wrap up here, let's fast forward a month or so. Let's get to that moment. And what will that moment be like for you? Do you think $50K a person sitting across the table from Phil Hellmuth in High Stakes Duel 3 round 1?
Well, I mean, I would say it would be, one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life. But it's not going to compare to the first time I was on No Gamble, No Future.
There we go.
And I had to look right into the camera and tell Buffalo Brent Hanks that his team stunk and the Chiefs were going to kick the shit out of him. And I mean, I was, of course, right about that. I also, and this is not giving anything away for the Poker After Dark appearances, but I would not be comfortable doing this if I hadn't done that, because I don't know if the appearances are going to air in order or not, so this isn't, but my first 3 hours of playing, like actual, it's not necessarily the ones that will air, of playing Poker After Dark, I did everything wrong. I did everything that I said I wasn't going to do, and it was because I was tilted by the setup, and then I got much more comfortable as the week went on. So I think there will be nerves early, but also this structure of this is so great that you've got to be really nuts to spin off a ton of chips early. If we're each starting, call it with 100,000 or 50, call it 100,000, and the blinds are 200, 400. Like, you've got to be, you're not going to spin off a bunch of chips early. And so I think I'll be able to get into a groove. And if need be, I'm going to ask for a bathroom break, and I'm going to smoke a cigarette in the bathroom. I've already thought about it.
There we go. Good strategy. All right, catch First Things First on FS1 weekdays, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Follow Nick on Twitter at GetNickWright. And Nick, we will see you here in Vegas for High Stakes Duel 3. Thanks so much for the time today. We appreciate it.
There it is.
Oh, look at that. Oh,
Making
how
it
about
official.
that? Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you, Nick.
You're
Talk to you
welcome.
soon, my man. Hey, wait. Does Colin know that you're playing yet against Hellmuth? Is this public in your inner circle?
Will be soon.
It's not public in my inner circle, except for the few of my friends that are, how do I put this? 10-figure net worth individuals.
Okay.
I might have hit them up to be like, hey, I'm this huge favorite over this sucker. If you want to pay me a vig, I'll let you buy in. So
Beautiful.
Colin might know. Colin might be a possible investor, but the rest will be all my money. He's the only one who knows.
Beautiful.
Colin's
Can't
already
wait,
got
man.
net worth
Can't
by
wait
now.
to see you in a month, bro.
All right, thanks Nick.
again.
We'll see you later.
All right, later.
There
Bye.
he goes. Producer John, let's throw up that graphic one more time. It is High Stakes Duel 3. It is Hellmuth versus Nick Wright. And Brent, how's that for a curveball?
I mean, listen, Hellmuth tweeted yesterday that he was absolutely shocked about who his opponent was going to be. And I think a lot of folks, especially the poker hardcore audience, maybe a little taken back. Like, oh, my God, how could you do this? Take a moment, folks. Think about this.
Step back.
Right?
Yeah.
Think about the eyeballs, the exposure now for the industry as a whole when we bring in a guy like Nick Wright. It truly will move the needle for the show, and we couldn't be any happier to have Nick Wright on board.
I also think this is incredible for poker. Am I biased? Sure. But do I think, to Brent's point, this brings in a whole new world that is going to converge on this poker landscape right when Heads Up Poker is so hot? I think it's going to draw eyeballs and, more importantly, draw interest and perhaps long-term interest as we continue to grow the game. Shall we hand out some winning picks? You and
Let's
I can't
give the
do
folks
it.
some
I mean,
winners,
no,
right?
well,
I mean,
yeah,
come on.
we
Yeah,
can't
we
do
got
it,
winners.
but we can.
We got winners.
We can look at what Betcoin does.
I am Betcoin.
Yes, you are, and Betcoin remains on fire.
It's
And Brent,
unbelievable.
it was a great last session for Betcoin when we were on about a week and a half ago or so. We can pull up the results. Betcoin gave us the Bucks -1 against the Nets in Game 7 of that second round series. Never a doubt in that game, right? As you were saying.
Absolute winner for Betcoin.
Yeah, stone cold lock. And then Betcoin gave us Phil Hellmuth at +150 against Daniel Negreanu. It puts Betcoin up more than 6 units on the year.
It's only been around for 6 shows, right? Or 5 shows.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
what?
All right, so let's just run it back. Let's do it again.
Here we go. You ready
All
for
right,
this?
Yeah,
Here we
it
go.
is the Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers are at home, so they are tails. The Suns are heads as the away team. Brent Hanks, you do the honors. What does Betcoin choose for this one?
Here we go. Tails. We're
It's
going tails. Wow.
It's tails.
Clip City.
Liking the Clippers at +1 to continue that comeback in that series. That one is an interesting one. All right, let's go to results. We had results from our show a couple weeks ago, and then we tweeted out some picks at NGNF Show. He's at Buffalo Hanks. I'm at Jeff Platt. Be sure to follow us on Twitter to get those results. Let's get to my results, which are ugly as always. I mean, you guys expect this by now. I also had the Bucks with Betcoin in Game 7. Boom, got that. Bucks -8 against the Hawks for Game 1. No, didn't quite get that. Brooke Lopez
Shocker.
under 10.5 points. Thank you very much. For Game 2, no, didn't. I think he had 11 points in the first half. So that wasn't great. Portugal to advance. I mentioned this last time, but, producer Zach gave me the Portugal future, which I noted in our spreadsheet, and then likes Portugal against Belgium. And the guy's just always wrong. It's soccer. It's the Euros. But we do have the Bucks -1.5 games that we fired after Game 1. We're getting a decent price on that. And we had the Clippers to win the Western Conference Finals. We got them before Game 4 at about +350. So we got some work to do, but they're making a run at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not at all surprised that your picks absolutely stunk.
And yours are
Speaking
great.
of
Yeah,
stinkers,
yours are
let's
great.
pull up my results. Let me walk you through them.
Couple
I
winners.
actually wasn't that bad. And you tried to cost me more money.
Yeah, very intentional.
You graded a winner as a loser.
Got confused.
Bucks +1, never a doubt. Wait, what am I
that's
talking about?
mine.
Hawks +8,
The
I'm on the
screen
wrong
that's
screen.
on is on the
Hawks
other side, yeah.
+8, absolutely a doubt. Suns money line, that was a winner. That's the one you tried to screw me on. All right. Braves against the Reds last week. Sorry. Red Sox +110. Not too bad. And the Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup. Well, we were at that game, Jeff.
Yeah, that was a good one, huh?
We saw the whole thing crumble. Not great.
Not great.
Not great.
Not great. I misspoke. I think my Bucks one was a winner, but we'll look at the numbers later.
Doesn't matter.
Whatever. Let's take a look at the tracker. We know that this is at least somewhat accurate in that I'm down just all the units, that Brent is down 7. I mean, you were up a healthy amount.
It's up 12 units.
Need that Hanksy
I was
heater
up 12
back.
units, and then I
But-
don't know what happened.
Betcoin is on fire.
Whatever happens with this coin, and if you do decide you would like to, bet responsibly, don't follow human beings.
Nope.
Follow the coin.
Follow the
okay?
coin.
I mean, this is
Take
just
the
it's
clips.
the best thing I could
Follow
ever
the
offer.
coin.
Right.
Take the clips.
Yeah.
If you want to follow us human beings because like the do theory, or you want to fade us, here are our cards. Check out mine first. Brent, I just think the Bucks are miles better than the Hawks with an injured Bogdan Bogdanovic
Wrong.
and DeAndre Hunter. Give me the
Wrong.
Bucks -7. The Clippers, I like them. Betcoin likes them, so you can't say wrong on this one.
No.
Having the Clippers +1. Switzerland to win the Euros because they beat France, and France is good, right?
Why are we betting soccer?
Well, it's 24-1. I'm down 24
I don't
units.
blame you. You
I
got to
need
go
come
for
back.
it.
Yeah,
you got to spike.
Let's take some flyers on Patrick Reed, on Ricky Fowler, on Harold Varner III to win the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Fowler might be our next Spieth. Might be our guy who we just sit here, we fire every week, we sit back, we relax, we enjoy the show. The win is coming soon for Ricky Fowler. And then Daniil Medvedev to win Wimbledon.
What is that? What is it?
Producer
no,
Aiden,
Producer. That
you're
is
the-
spelled wrong,
No,
clearly.
that's
Daniel.
the spelling's correct.
No, it's not.
spelling
There's
is
2
correct.
I's in
The
his name.
spelling is correct, as Aiden says. You like Medvedev? You're a tennis
I
guy.
love Medvedev. I don't know if I love +600 because he is a full-blown Russian head case.
Oh, this is tennis.
Yes,
and he's
it's
from Russia.
Wimbledon. Yes.
Oh, I thought it was
Wimbledon.
like a soccer's future or
Okay,
something,
so you
a
see,
goalie line.
Aiden basically endorsed the pick in full. He was like, "Oh yeah, Medvedev at +600. You must be so sharp." And I was like, "Oh yeah, thank you, Aiden."
No
Yeah.
problem.
What about
You.
isn't where's
Djokovic?
Djokovic.
He would be the massive favorite
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Well, that's why wouldn't you bet him?
because he's -140. Where's the fun in that?
-140
to win the whole thing.
I want to add that to my card. It's not
Okay,
on my card,
okay.
but bring up
We'll
my
count
card.
it.
I'm adding Djokovic.
Do it.
I
The
didn't know
Joker.
that was a thing. Here we go, because I don't bet tennis and I don't bet soccer.
Right.
Here's what I do bet: Hawks +7. Trey Young, the foot, the bone bruise.
Fine.
It's all nonsense. When you're getting 7 points at home and it's a must-win game, I'm going with the home dog every single time, Jeff. Every time. Clippers, we're on that side.
Yes,
we're
we
on
are.
the side of Betcoin. That seems like it can't lose. Red Sox -220 today.
Fenway Park.
Fenway Park.
Home field.
Against the stinker Royals, and I only bet this because Nick Wright was on the show. I'm going with the Red Sox at -220. I
Green
think he's
Monster.
from that area.
Gotcha.
Kansas City. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Red Sox also the under +105 there.
Because of the
I
Green Monster,
getting a
so
little
you can't
taste.
hit
Getting
as
a little
many home
ta-
runs.
I just like the bonus juice.
Yeah.
I like the bonus juice. That's
Okay.
a lot of runs. It's a lot of runs. I also want to do this. The Blue Jays minus 220 against the Mariners.
Lock.
All that offense up there in Toronto.
Joe
I love
Carter,
little Vlad.
Roberto Alomar.
You got it. You got it. And then I want to parlay these guys. I want the Red Sox to win. I want the Blue Jays to win, and I'm going to get plus 110 on my money there. That's it. I mean, this is a piece of cake. Gary Woodland to win the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Here's
Why
why.
Woodland?
Because he missed the cut the last time he played in 2019. He hits the ball a long ways, Jeff. And man, does he love to putt on bent grass. I heard that on some sort of interview podcast thing earlier, and I'm repeating that exact same shtick from whoever that guy was because he sold me on that, Jeff.
What is bent grass?
It's crooked. It's just it's slightly crooked grass
and
on
Woodland
the green.
likes
Wood. Well, his last name is Woodland. So anything that's upright or a little bit of crooked, he has an edge.
I don't really see how that relates.
I don't get it either, but it's just a lock. 40
All right,
to
let's
1.
get into fantasy poker where we at least have some knowledge on, right? I mean, you would think we at least it should be okay at fantasy poker. So our friends at State Kings reached out to us before day 2 of the Win Millions. Congratulations to the win, by the way. Just a massive field, more than 1,300 entries, more than a $12 million prize pool. And they said, hey, you know what? Let's run a little draft. Let's gamble a little bit. We're always in with our friends at State Kings when they ask us to gamble. So there you see it, the teams. And Brent, it is safe to say that their team is outperforming our team. Our top 2 picks, Bryn Kenny and Joseph Chong, eliminated about 10 minutes into day 2.
Well, we had to pick them because they're clearly the 2 biggest degenerate gamblers in the entire
field. They were either going to punt or win the whole damn thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And how about Alex Foxen for Team State Kings?
Oh, God.
Just a machine.
You know what? They shouldn't have been allowed to pick him. He's too good. He's too intimidating.
And when he has quads against Bryn Kenny's full house, that'll probably do it for us. But we still got some sweats. I mean, we have Toby Lewis, Jason Kuhn lying in the weeds, Hinkle Negranu playing today.
Hinkle,
Negranu's
brother
due for a
of Uncle Ron, by the way,
right.
guest of the show, Uncle Ron. We got to bring him back.
Wouldn't he be a nephew of Uncle Ron?
Nephew, brother, whatever he is.
I gotcha. And a little bit of a tease because we are going to team up with our friends at State Kings again for a massive fantasy poker event coming in the fall, along with the World Series of Poker. How about $50,000 per team?
Unreal.
The WSOP Fantasy Poker High Roller on State Kings. More details to come. Plenty of teams right now, including Team No Gamble.
We're in there, baby.
No Future.
We're in
the mix.
there. Let's
Foxen's
go.
in there. He's actually
What's
playing.
first place going to be in that?
It's going to be massive. It's $50K a team, and they're looking for 15 teams. You can hit them up on State Kings if you want a team on your own. I think they have 9 of 15 spots reserved, so plenty more info to come.
If you just have 50 grand laying around,
just fire it off. So you're putting the buy-in up.
No, I know, but we're just going to start using BetCoins picks. Find 50,000 that way, and we'll be fine.
And our team can be staked by you guys at home. It's a beautiful thing. Again, more information coming soon. And Brent, also coming soon. How about the Poker Go Cup?
Yeah, how about our partners with Super Draft? And this is real fantasy poker, daily fantasy poker, exclusively on Super Draft. They are our partners for the Poker Go Cup, as well as the rest of our majors throughout the remainder of the year, including the World Series of Poker. Make sure you guys go check out Super Draft, and you can join the action. Jeff and I will be in there. Free rolls every day throughout the Poker Go Cup.
You know what? Next week on our show, because our show will be Tuesday, July 6th, and coverage of the Poker Go Cup starts on July 7th. Why don't we fill out our lineup for Super Draft, event number 1? We'll build a little competition. You guys at home can fill out lineups with us. That sounds great. Super Draft, official daily fantasy partner. Daily fantasy sports partner of Poker Go?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Got it. What'd you say, Producer John? You can talk on the real mic
John,
now.
Come on. Saying?
You never threw it back to Doyle for his great call on Twitter.
You know, we did say that one person
it at the top.
That one person got it right on Twitter, and there it is. It is the legend that is Doyle.
So if you're just tuning in now, you want to know who is playing Phil Hellmuth at High Stakes Duel 3, Round 1. We threw a major curveball in here. We have Tom Dwan whenever we want him. We got Ivy whenever we want him. These guys live here in Vegas. We talk to them all the time. This is round 1.
This is
Let's
awesome.
bring in Nick Wright.
This is going to be awesome.
Let's really shake things up throughout the entire sports industry, let alone our little poker bubble that we all live in. And Doyle Brunson, of course, he nailed it. The only person to get it right.
Hashtag good for poker. Thank you all so much for being with us today. We very much appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Be sure to like on Facebook. Follow PokerGo on Twitch. There it is. All that good stuff. Thanks so much to our crew, Aiden and John in the back. We can now hear them. That is amazing. Thanks to Brent Hanks. I'm Jeff Platt. We will see you guys next week on No Gamble, No Future.
All in.